Hey, AfterBuzzers, we are talking the Season 1 finale of Ease the Arrangement. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I'm doing it the wrong way.
Or good.
So we thought this song was only fitting because bye, 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 it's the Institute, according to Megan and the whole season itself, too.
I know, it's like a bittersweet. Like, I don't want to say bye because it's over, but I'm excited to say bye, bye, bye to the institution.
Yes,
Yes,
definitely.
bye, bye,
I agree.
I know, and sad that they were like, and coming back season 2, 2018. I'm like, but that's so
I know.
so far away.
Like a whole year.
Yes.
Happier. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Tessa Cevaal. You guys can find me on all social media at Tessa_Cevaal. And ladies, one last time for this season, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Jessica Carroll TV on all social media platforms.
You can find me at Taquiala_I am.
You can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at Ally Girl.
And don't forget to follow AfterBuzz on all social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. So you guys, it's the end.
Oh, wow.
So many things have happened.
A lot.
feel like a continual 180s in this episode.
Yes.
Right.
This whole season, I would like, there's so many different storylines and so many different pegs that I'm kind of, this season finale, I was just like spinning of like connecting all of the dots and all the different plot lines and how they all came together, and I'm still confused.
Yeah.
Still very confused. So why don't we dive in first to Megan's experience at the Institute? Because I felt like when she came out of it, she was like almost in like a weird trance. But
Yes.
it didn't seem like a real trance to me. It felt like she was just kind of faking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally
agree.
agree. When she was speaking in this like higher upscaled tone
Yeah.
voice, and it was like she was trying to be very put together, and it was like she was very like weirdly like what was the word?
Stoic.
Like, stoic and like trying to like I don't know, it was like mannequin like.
Well, I was gonna say she's like robotic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it felt really forced to me, so I wasn't as shocked when I heard that like she like wanted to take it. Like I knew it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just, when she got out, and even when she was in the Institute, I kind of was like, okay, she's doing this so that she can get out soon, and then I knew the whole time that she had a second plan.
Right.
Because I know Megan, and Megan's not someone to just, I think that, it was great that she finally revealed and, kind of relived the experience, which probably even made her even more mad at the institution. But I don't know. I don't know if we should dive into it now, but
Go for it if you want to bring something else up.
well, I was just thinking, like, is her taking down the institution, is it going to affect her relationship with Kyle?
Totally. I mean, that's what, it was something we were talking about this before, and we had one of our other AfterBuzzers on, like, talk about this with us.
Yeah.
But it's really confusing because you don't know if she's resentful towards Kyle at the end of the season, and it's like, so is that the end of their relationship, or is she going to bring it to Kyle's forefront of how this is crazy and you shouldn't be a part of it either? Like, it was kind of, you didn't get a defined line, which obviously we'll figure out in season 2, but I was just trying to think about it, like, when she said that, let's burn down the Institute, I don't know if you guys thought about this. I was thinking, wait, okay, so maybe that was the writer's way of kind of like, they didn't know if they'd get a season 2, so maybe it seems like it's going to be like against Kyle, but maybe it's not.
Well, my thoughts are that, are just that, the reason why, and please, I want to hear your opinion too, but the reason why I love this show so much is because I'm obsessed with Megan and Kyle.
Right.
I'm obsessed with the two of them together, them apart. I think they bring out good qualities in each other. And if season 2, like, even in the first 20 minutes of this episode, Kyle wasn't in it,
Yeah.
I was like, where is he? Like, I want him.
Exactly.
I miss him. I was
Uh-huh.
like, where's Kyle? He's such a big part. The two of them are such a big part of the season that if there's no chemistry and if they don't exist, I don't know if there's how the season 2 is going to keep their
Right.
viewers engaged.
Right.
So I think that it's not going to affect the relationship. And I would love Megan and Kyle to just take over the whole institute.
Yeah.
Basically, Megan would just rule everyone.
Yeah, I would love that too, but sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Giselle.
sorry. Well, I'll save part of my actual comment because it's part of my prediction for later. However, I was a little upset that when Kyle found out that, Megan found out that Kyle was part of the reason that she's in the Institute now, you didn't see no emotion from her. It was no outrage. It was no like disappointment. She was still just like, okay, it was all right. No problem. That was fine. And I think all of us last week were like, nah, we didn't think that Kyle was the one that told or went to Terrence or for help or anything. So to me, that was shocking. Exactly. So when she was trying to run away and she ran to, I'm assuming some lady, that has to be some mother's house, or maybe she's just part of the Institute too. And you see Kyle coming to get her, and I'm like, oh, but then Terrence is right off his shoulder. I'm like, oh no, he didn't.
I know.
So I think that Megan at that point, when she saw Kyle and Kyle was like, listen, I did this for 2 months. I had to turn to Terrence. Like, he helps me in all these big, crappy situations. I think that at that point, Megan realized, okay, he really does love me, and Terrence has too much, like, we have to get Terrence out of his life because he's going to continue to turn to Terrence during situations like this. So I don't think necessarily Megan got mad at, and I think that's why she didn't show emotion, is because she just realized that like Terrence has too much control over Kyle.
Yeah.
But also, too, from, like, a totally different standpoint, I'm like, there's so many other ways they could have gone about this, one besides kidnapping her and, like, making her feel scared for her life.
Right.
Especially if Kyle was behind this all. Kidnapping is not the solution. Maybe just, like, I know she would have not wanted to go to the Institute, but maybe talk to her on the way over and, like, do a drive. And she's like, where are you going? And he lies about the place. He says, I think you need to go here. I think it'll help you. That's different. And then, two, when she was running away and then they found her and they just injected her with some sort of thing to make her, like, pass out, and he was worried about if she was gonna live afterwards. Like, if you love someone, I don't care how, like, much you're trying to help them. That was weird.
It was. I totally agree.
And it was a very scary moment because you don't know what that shot's gonna do, and you don't know, like, what, like the fact that he had to inject her with something in order to make her go along with it. Like, there's in no relationship should you ever force someone to do something. One, and two, like do something to where they're not even awake while you were doing it. I don't know. It was just weird.
It was definitely weird.
And then to me, I kind of felt bad too. Like, this is pointless because once they injected her, he told the bodyguard or whoever that gentleman was, "No, I got her. I'll take her." But like, you missed the whole point when you needed to be the hero. You missed it.
Like, she looks like she's dead.
Exactly.
Let me take her. I'm like,
literally.
That's so romantic.
Well, I think this continues to bring me back to this whole thing of, like, why was Kyle there and why does he still think it's such a good thing? And maybe Terrence still has an immense amount of control around him when he's been fighting.
Oh, he does.
So hard to get away from Terrence. I'm like, you're not going anywhere at this point.
Because even before that, we thought we thought he had his like expanded his leash to Terrence because he wasn't in communication with them. Terrence was starting to get nervous. Deanne was starting to get nervous. He was like, it's going to be me and you, me and him and Megan, like against everybody. Yeah. So to see at the last resort when it did something that frustrated him or he didn't have any control, if he runs to Terrence and he tells Megan this was the only way that we could get this under control. I feel like the only way you could get it was kidnapping me, allowing him to take me to this place that you know what goes on. Like, I don't. Yeah. So when he told her that, again, I go back to not feeling any remorse or upset at him or anything, because I think if I was in that situation, I would have been belligerent. I'd have been upset.
Well, and two, it was so scary because right before she had, like, tried to run away and write the letter, let's not forget, he literally said, I don't want to go to Terrence. Yeah. He said, I want to figure it out on my own. I want to pay for the money out of my own pocket. Like, we're going to figure this out together. Very true. And the fact that he didn't want to do it together with her, he did it on his own, just like it's just crazy because we all remember, I think we all said he's not a villain. We said Kyle is the only good person in this show now, and now we see signs of he's almost forgiving Terrence for what Terrence put him through because now he's been able to help him and they're at an even playing field.
So I think that Terrence won Kyle's, I guess, respect, or I don't know, what caused Kyle and Terrence to start talking again is that Kyle really does love Megan. And so I think that the way Terrence turned this whole situation around is to convince Terrence that the Institute was going to save Megan, help her situation, transform her, and Kyle was just like, okay, I love her so much, like, I'll allow it. Like it helped me, hopefully it'll help her.
Right.
And I think that it was using Megan and saving Megan. That's what Terrence used to get Kyle talking to him again.
So maybe also with that point being said, maybe that's maybe Kyle does have an ulterior motive, because maybe he thought, all right, I'll put her through this 2 months of agony, which sucks, and I hate doing that to her. But he knew Terrence would take care of the situation in whatever way possible to help Kyle. So maybe there is another stigmatism behind his thought process. And even though he did have to hurt her along the way, he knew at the end game he would come out on top.
Yeah,
maybe?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess there's so many different ways you can
like
go about it.
At the same time, though, sorry to interrupt. This has been a reoccurring problem, and I don't think it's going to get any better at this point. Like, for example, with the whole plotted magazine breakup get back together thing, he's like, I didn't think this would be a big deal. Like, this is what it is. Like, you're going to come out on top. Like, what's the big deal? And then it's kind of the same thing with this, but just to a whole nother level.
Right.
And so I think I worry if they do stay together, that this will continue to be this huge problem, and it's gonna break them.
It's it's kind of unhealthy at this point, because they're both still hiding secrets. Like Megan, even though he knows everything, she's still hiding the fact that she secretly got out of the Institute and is not in line with where they think she is. And then also on the other side, you've got Kyle still holding this massive secret of how he helped Terrence save the Institute. So it's they're kind of constantly battling with one another secretively. And that's where I'm as much as I think the show does need their relationship to stay together, I'm wondering if we're gonna have some sort of tear. And I still am thinking, the director went away too silently.
Yes.
Yeah.
He disappeared.
I was so disappointed. Yeah.
And he was saying how much he loved her. It was basically after she skipped that meeting, we never heard from anything again. So that leads me to believe that maybe, I feel like it can't be that easy to let someone that had that much investment into Megan go away so easily. And I'm wondering if maybe he'll come back to kind of maybe help her burn down the Institute.
Oh, that's good.
That's an interesting.
I didn't think of that either.
I was just thinking, there's no way he could have gone away so easily. With how much he loved her and how much he thought that they were meant to
together.
be. Yeah.
When she had her flashback after taking that purple bottle, was that kind of how you guys envisioned it? Like her and her stepbrother? That was pretty much exactly what I had in my mind.
I think I won't say we all knew. I think I always kind of knew there was a little bit, because you don't always just kill someone by accident.
Yeah.
That's a little tricky. I think I was kind of she probably took that extra hit or whatever it was to kind of solidify it. And I do think, it was a very in the moment thing. I don't think that was ever her intention.
But Jesse was coming for her, though. Do you not see it as self-defense, or do you ladies see it as it was self-defense?
I do, but I think...
And then she went overboard.
She went that extra step.
Okay.
I think she knocked him out, right? And she's sitting there, and he's clearly unconscious. She could have left. Or she could have bashed him in the head again.
3 more times. My thing is when Colton, the blackmailer, opened the door, why had you not remembered him after so many years? And you were tracking to see who was convicted of your brother's murder. It was him. So when he showed up, that connection wasn't made, or we didn't see that connection made in the show. So I was a little annoyed when they made her regress back to that memory. He opened the door. This is the first person you seen when you arrived in Hong Kong looking for your brother. It's his best friend.
Yeah.
So I was annoyed by that part.
Yeah, so maybe she did know who he was all along and just played it off in the restaurant. I don't know you, but
she totally did.
That could be. And it could go back to
so
your
caught
theory,
off
too, of Terrence handling everything, because at the end of the show, or towards the end, we see Colton's body was that him?
Which that
who
was Deanne, I think.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to get into. One of the two, somebody had him drowned, killed, essentially.
Wait,
so
Colton, the guy who...
He's the blackmailer, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's why I was saying...
Yeah, and Deanne drank her coffee, and she said, I don't know, or she said something along the lines, because Terrence says, do you know anything about this? And she just kind of was like, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm. When Deanne held, I guess his name is Colton, now that I know, Colton up against in that diner, I was like, yes, girl, turn it on. You tell him who's boss. And it made me realize that their Institute people are everywhere. Like
Yeah.
even
She
in the
said-
middle of the woods when Megan's running away, she sees the pillow and they have a house there. It's like they are everywhere. It's crazy.
Terrifying.
It is because you don't really have anywhere to run, which makes me a little bit more excited, even though we have to wait 1.5 years for season 2, because hopefully we're going to see how massive the organization actually is and all the key people who are involved and how big this blow up will eventually be.
And even when Megan met that guy in the Institute and he said, the real question is, you know, how do you get out?
Anthony,
I want to know the other people's stories that are in the Institute.
Yeah.
Because I think that once we start to hear some of their stories, we'll understand, like, okay, what is the real, like, obviously they're brainwashing these people.
Yes.
And they're using crazy medicines and hallucinogens and all these things, but I want to hear their stories. Like, are they all effed up people, like, who are making bad decisions?
Yeah.
And what happened and how long they've been there too. And that therapist, I can't remember her name, but the lady who actually introduced introduced herself as Megan the reporter a couple of episodes ago. Like, when you go into that place, she said you'll be surprised that no one wants to leave. I find that highly dialed. No, you've transformed their minds to where they feel safe and they can't go out and function in the real world now. Yeah. But I also think another just side key point is when she got kidnapped and you knew she was going to this place, regardless if it was Deanne, Terrence, or even Kyle, why would you want her therapist to be the person who lied to her initially? Of course she's not going to believe or be trustful into anyone of that relationship because you met me on a lie and I know you work for the Institute,
That's
so why
so
would I open
true.
up to you at all people?
Oh my gosh,
That's such a
so
great point.
funny.
I thought about that too. Sorry.
When she first got there and everyone was wearing those tan beige
Psych
outfits.
ward,
creepy, by the
yes,
way.
they really
you
were.
guys, no joke, it reminded me of Kanye West's fashion show.
Oh, it did,
How they all wear like these like weird outfits. I was like, okay. No offense, Kanye.
No.
Well, I was wanting to say when we like just going back to like being in the woods and everything really quick. When she got in the van, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. Like, you know, she jumped in. But then I was like, why would you get out and run in the middle of the woods? There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I was like, just wait a little longer.
Exactly.
Wait until he goes to the gas station where you can get a phone.
Literally, I was saying that too. First of all, she left the doors open.
Yeah.
Like, hello, neon sign. And she decided to run when he was just taking a quick little piss.
Yeah.
Like, wait until he at least gets to his destination.
Somewhere a part
and
of
then you can-
civilization.
Right.
Well, because, and I just was frustrated because I'm like, literally, there's nowhere to go. You're in the woods. Like, at least peek out, realize you're in the woods, shut the doors, and then, like, keep it going until you stop again. Like, because either way, they're going to have to throw someone else in again, or, like, maybe he'll stop another place. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess either way it'd be scary because, like, whenever he stops, like, he could have been out there. Like, she didn't know he was going pee. So, like, either way, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I screamed at the TV like, seriously, Megan?
Yeah, like, not in
you
the
see
woods.
trees.
Yeah.
You don't see anything else. No homes, no gas stations, convenience stores, nothing. Trees.
I know. And then I was like, at home? What? Like, it did
it
look
was all
creepy, though.
too weird.
Yeah,
and the drone that
lady.
was following her.
Yes.
That
I
was
felt that's like
creepy.
Hunger
that
Games.
was really creepy.
Well, that's
yes.
probably how they knew, like, you know, also where she was. I think that
Oh,
the drone
totally.
was part of their look.
They probably like
search.
chipped her or something. Like, it's literally Hunger Games-ish.
Yeah.
They chipped them. She's running in the woods. They got a drone watching
I
her.
like that.
Well, and when the woman was, you know, oh, can I serve you breakfast? Oh, you're so cold. I was like, okay, this woman would have been a little more suspicious about why.
Yes.
Like, she was just a little too nice,
Well,
offering scrambled eggs. Like, come on.
If no offense, but if someone comes to your house frantic, dirty, has dirt all over them, you're gonna call the police.
yeah.
She did.
What?
The Institute.
No, I think they found her from the drone. I don't think. Oh, do you think she called the Institute right away?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
I
'cause-
didn't mean to interject.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that would make
When you
sense.
said she called the police, I'm like, yeah, it's for
Right.
her. Because I'm sure Megan may have not have been the first person to leave or try
Well, that
to
makes
escape.
sense because
and she's
obviously
the only...
she knows the rapport of
Yeah.
what she's
Exactly.
wearing. Okay, because I was thinking, okay, cool.
Because once
That-
she revealed the
makes-
pillow, I was
yeah.
like, okay, so they're coming. They're going to be there
Right,
soon. She's not
okay.
going to let her go.
I was shocked when Kyle got out of the car.
I was
know we
too.
kind of just talked
Oh.
about that, but I was like, what?
I was disappointed.
Seriously, I thought that maybe it was going to be a flashback or a dream that she wouldn't know, and then when he, like, that still leads me back to the, I'm kind of disappointed in him. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you going along with Terrence?
I kind of wanted him to think that she actually ran away, and I wanted, like, Kyle to try to search
Yes,
her.
yes.
But
I thought he
no.
was going to, like, be
We're
the
all-
savior and, like, save her
Once
from...
again, he just turned to Terrence.
Yeah.
I know. It bugs me.
Gosh.
Okay, so 2 other characters that really changed a lot this episode were Deanne, which we saw from the last episode, right?
Yeah.
We kind of saw her and Terrence really join together again. And we've always pictured Terrence the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like Deanne has turned hero to villain in my eyes, as well as Sean doing the opposite. I think I was starting to paint Sean as this villain in my head because she wasn't coming clean at the beginning of a lot of the decisions she was making with Megan about taking classes at the Institute and then working there. And turns out she has Megan's back. So I felt like for me, they kind of flipped.
Yeah.
Like, Deanne became the villain and Sean kind of became the hero again.
100%. And I think that with Deanne, you kind of saw that she's in it for herself.
Yeah.
Everything that she's done so far and everything that she's done in just this episode was for her producing career.
Yeah.
Right.
It was to make sure that at the end of the day, she could have a movie, she could have that script that Annika wrote be produced, and she wanted to make sure that there was nothing that was going to get in her way of making it happen.
Right.
And you could even see Terrence was a little confused that she would go to that length too. He knew what she did, obviously, but she just wasn't going to go outright and say it.
Right.
Which is like, they're so creepy.
Yeah. Well, at the very end, when Megan and Sean were talking, it was almost like finally someone has Megan's back. Like,
Yeah.
now Megan knows that she can turn to Sean
Right.
100% and she has her back. Because, I mean, even now, like, I don't know if Megan's going to fully trust Kyle because
Right.
she kind of he willingly sent
Gave
her
her
to this
away.
institute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing that, she's going to be there for 2 months and she's, messed up in her head and all this stuff. So I'm just happy that Sean, Megan now knows that Sean has her back.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I thought of that aspect too. And then I was just sitting here thinking that if you're going to take down a person or more so a company institution, you have to have an insider. So I was
Yes.
like, okay, great move. So maybe that is something that will come up again in season 2, that how she really did take this to kind of have Megan's back. And because of her profession, she received the easy in because Terrence loved her work.
Yeah.
But then I'm also wondering if Hope is going to come back, because even though she leaked those pictures, she's been the main one she's been saying Kyle is crazy, but the Institute and Terrence and how
Yeah.
obsessed and crazy and deranged that place is, and she was trying to do it to get Megan's attention. Well, if she did it, or if she comes around, she will have
Right.
Megan's attention now because Megan knows.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if Hope comes back as well.
I think she definitely will, because that was I think she will probably go knowing that Hope can be a little bit manipulative and maybe be like, I need your expertise in this to do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they
Interesting.
kind of looked at Hope as this oh my gosh, let's get her out of this party kind of thing.
Right.
So maybe she'll come back and be a bigger part of the storyline than we expect, because it's you never expect that from those people, because she has vengeance on them more than anybody does,
Right.
because she's like, he kicked me out of the party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think maybe she might come back in that way, and then they'll finally join forces, and then Megan be like, all right, I'll put those differences aside that you basically screwed me over.
Right.
In order to get the Institute down, I'm going to need your help.
Yeah.
And speaking of vengeance too, not only did they kick her out of the party, but now the Institute has taken her best friend.
Yeah.
Even though it was because of her fault, though.
Yeah.
She was trying to actually, I think now feel a little bit more sympathetic. She was trying to actually alert Megan, these people are crazy. It's not where you want to be or who you want
Yeah.
to be involved in. So
Yeah.
I can agree with that too.
This show, it's so funny because we're all so into it right now because it's so good.
Right.
There's so many twists and turns, and it makes you think so much that you get, we're all so heated as if these are real life.
I know.
Because I'm really into it. I just found myself she's terrible. And then it's oh yeah, right.
Right,
but it's
I'm
so
yelling at a
good.
screen.
Yes. Which I did last night. Seriously,
I did
why
too.
are you running?
So that's the one part I screamed. I was like, Megan,
did
you're
too.
smarter than this. What are you doing? I actually thought that she could. First of all, when I first thought she was getting the van, I'm like, oh, they're gonna catch her. She's not actually gonna run away.
I know, it gave me such bad anxiety.
Yeah, and then the needle part. Oh my god, I couldn't even watch.
I couldn't watch
I
that.
couldn't watch.
Ugh,
But
gives
then,
me, shivers
I
thinking
think after she realized, okay, Kyle knows, everyone knows I'm in this institute. I have to just follow along so I can get out of here. and then turn it around.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, because at first I thought maybe she was going to be hesitant to drink the bottle.
Yeah.
But I think before that she realized, like, I need to follow all the rules. I need to prove that it's fixed me, it transformed me,
Right.
even though I'm just going to fake it. And then, meet up with Sean and we're going to take this place down.
You know what? When you just said if she was going to drink that purple bottle, I thought when she first was in there, I'm like, you did this before. Act your way out of it. Tell the story like you did when they were in that group about the friend who actually had was an abortion she did when when she was in the play, and then she came back to the institute, that introductory class, and shared that, and it was very believable. So at first I wanted her to just like act your way out of it. This is it. This is where you use it again. But then she took the purple drink, and I was like, oh, okay, what is this going to do to her? What are they going to be able to see, or how are they going to be able to control her from that point on?
Yeah.
Interesting. See, I still am so caught up on why Kyle thought this was so good for her. Just like rewinding back even more.
I think
it just bothers me so much that he still did this to her.
I think, honestly, Terrence just started talking to Kyle, and then Kyle, once again, gave in because Terrence is a great manipulator. He knows what to say. He knows what Kyle wants to hear, and especially about Megan, because Kyle does love Megan. So I think that's... I think that if Terrence didn't get involved, Kyle probably would have never sent her to the Institute.
Yeah.
Because he was upset with Terrence to begin with.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to your theory earlier where it's like, maybe he does have, like, ulterior, like, there's other reasons why he did this, and that's not just one. It was kind of an end game. Like, he was thinking it as an end game to get them away.
Yeah.
And, like, in the safest way possible. Because, obviously, if Terrence is willing to do the dirty work for him, then he doesn't have to do it. He didn't have to pay the money. He didn't have to do any of the thing. They did it for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So maybe that is kind of part of their plan. Kyle's plan.
Yeah. I loved when they were heading at the very end towards the red carpet, and Megan strategically said, oh, I might mention the Institute. And literally Deanne and Terrence looked at each other like they were so guilty, or like what were you saying? And then she was like, you can say whatever you want. I forget the exact words, but Deanne was like, you can say whatever's on your mind or whatever you want. But that was so strategic of Megan, just to see how they would respond.
Right.
And I was actually expecting some bomb for her to say when they were being interviewed on the red carpet. I was just waiting for it, and it didn't come. So it kind of was a letdown. But when I thought there was like foreshadowing what she was going to say, or how she was going to like ruin the Institute or try to give negative press for the Institute on the red carpet. But we see that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which also, too, I just want to know, like, are there stylists at the Institute? Because the outfit she came back on the first day is nothing she would ever wear. Her hair was, like, pinned back and, like, really sleek, like, as if she was, like, it was kind of like, I felt like a 50s housewife vibe.
Dress.
You know what I mean? With, like, the dress and, like, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but it was not her style.
Right.
She's got a very, like, edgy, trendy style. So I thought it was really funny that, like who gave that to you when you left the Institute? Like, this is you now.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly
it was
playing
very
to her
pure, like innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely caught on that too. I was like, very smart wardrobe.
And it was like almost like she was like, yes, Kyle.
Yeah.
I went to the Institute. Like, it was very weird.
But I almost I kind of hope that she plays this innocent card, transformed little princess girl for a while, because Kyle's not going to love that girl. That's not the girl that he fell in love with.
Very
and so
true.
I think that even maybe that's going to be a way that Megan is going to have Kyle start to turn against the Institute. Like, what did you do to the girl I love? Like, that's not the same human being. You didn't transform her. She's now like this robot who has no emotion.
And I think that led us to know that too when they woke up in the middle of the night and Kyle went to the window and she's like, what's wrong? And she was like, I just don't know if we're going to make it. I keep thinking about if we're going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point you said, because before we got to the end, we knew something was brewing. She was going to do something, but we just didn't know what it was. But it was weighing heavy on her that she still wanted to be with Kyle, but her ultimate goal is going to be the deal breaker. She's not sure if they'll last.
Right. When people are at the Institute, though, where does the rest of the world think they are? Like, where did everyone else think Megan was for 2 months?
Well, this is the thing. I don't think anybody knew or cared not to be in a thing, but, like, everything, her manager didn't know where she was.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that for some of them, like, she didn't have family members, but I think some of them put themselves there. Like, they're the ones that sign up to go there. So, like, people, it's just like a rehab center maybe for some people. So, like, that's kind of where my mind went, because other people, besides, like, Megan, no one really, not to say this in a bad thing, but she doesn't really have any family or friends besides Sean and Hope, and, like, they weren't reaching out because they thought she was mad at her.
But I mean, like, the rest of the world, like, Kyle's a very, public person, and his fiance, who he just proposed to, is just not in any pictures and not in any public media
Doing anything, yes.
with Kyle right after they proposed.
That was
like,
a great point.
they were doing interviews together. They went to every red
Out and about
carpet
and-
together. Like, he
right.
just failed to show up with her for 2 months.
Which I'm really glad you brought that up, because when she came back, there was nobody said how long she had been away, right? Like, they didn't say, like, I was expecting it to be like 2 months later, or like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
The way that I saw it was that it was only like a day. Like, the way that the line, so it was like, because they said she made such quick progress, like, it wasn't a long time in my mind for it to be like 2 months. Like, there's no way it was 2 months that she was away.
That was part of the show too that kind of was a letdown for me, because I felt like the writers didn't fill in enough of a gap, enough of a story for me. I kind of felt like I was missing chunks.
Yeah.
One of them was like, no one looked for her. Even when her agent looked for her before the red carpet, she still didn't get no information or anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Sean knew she was away or not too, but as a
Right.
friend or as a best friend, and you still care for me, you would still be trying to reach out at least, or come to the house, ask Kyle. So those are some of the things I think in the story that were kind of left out, especially how long she was gone too.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I felt a little empty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
to
was-
guess.
Yeah. I feel like they just kind of threw the agent in there at the last minute to make it seem like someone cared.
I feel like that the ending was a little jumbled, because it's like they had a lot to fit into another thing. And I think maybe that was where they were kind of like, maybe the writers didn't know it was going to get a season 2, so they had to like make it fast and kind of like leave the audience to kind of make their own
Want more,
assumptions.
Yeah.
Right. And then for us, like, now that there is a season 2, I think maybe the next season we're going to get so many of those fill in the blanks. Like, maybe it'll be like, it'll kind of recap what had happened and like how many weeks she was away. Like,
Right.
they'll talk about it in dialogue,
Right.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, and I felt like kind of like how the first episode, like, the arrangement just happened so fast. She just signed it. I feel like the Institute just happened so fast, and then she's like back in the public eye again.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? She was just like freaking locked up in a room in this Institute, and now she's just happy on the red carpet again.
Right.
And when they were getting out of the car, going on the red carpet, something made me think that maybe she was not necessarily going to be runaway, but gonna kind of see Lisbeth or team up with her eventually, or just kind of go to her to get some information on if she was made to go, or if they tried to dig up information on her background, which is the real reason why she left Kyle, or something of that nature, just to kind of get a perspective of someone who's dated Kyle.
Yeah.
She loved him, and to see how that operated as well. Again, maybe a hole that's gonna come in season 2.
And also with the whole Vanity Fair thing, I mean, Kyle really opened up, saying that he's not in a good place right now, which of course the Vanity Fair director guy was like, but you're in a real place.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole like fish tank thing was a little cheesy.
Yeah.
But you really saw Kyle, like, he doesn't like being in the public eye. You know, like, he's like, I can't go anywhere. The only place I can go to actually feel private is this Institute, because that's where people don't bug me.
Yeah.
That is true. And that's why people don't want to leave, is because they don't know how to operate
Yeah, when
outside
they
of
leave,
that.
yeah.
Exactly. And everyone else is
Interesting.
either to themselves trying to work on whatever they're working on, if that is actually what they're there for or doing too. So yeah, I can see that angle. He did.
Well, and I think that's a huge part of why he likes Megan so much.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see the persona that she'll play in the next season. Because
Yeah.
I think you were right in saying that she's going to put on this fake facade of a personality and then just
Yeah.
Right.
putting everything down.
Yeah. I don't think she's going to keep this persona on much longer, though, like, with the fakeness. Like, I think, well, in the eyes of Kyle, I think maybe she might pull Kyle aside, and that's how we'll have them come on her side. But I think that this persona is just, like, too fishy and weird. Like, it just feels weird.
It did.
So, like,
does.
I can't even, like, come on, Terrence. Like, you don't know she's lying. Like, you,
I know.
Like, it's just kind of funny, but I don't know. I think that maybe just, like, it won't last very long. Maybe, and, like, Oh, I guess we'll get that into predictions. Never mind, I'll wait.
I don't know. I want to agree with you, but at the same time, I kind of don't. And the reason why is because I think that she's going to realize she needs Kyle to start to not love the person that she's become to turn on Terrence and what the Institute did to her. So I think that she might fake it for longer than you think, not to get back at Kyle, but just to have Kyle realize, like, this place really does, like, change people, but maybe not for the better.
Right.
I'm in agreement with Jessica also, because the saying, keep your friends close but your enemies closer, she has to let that attitude and that whole personality, and like she's going to the classes and she's progressing in her transformation to still have Terrence and Deanne believe that she's progressing and doing well. So I think I'm with you on the agreement. She's gonna have that a little longer.
It'll be her and Sean for a while knowing this, and I think she's gonna keep everyone else thinking that she's this little princess robot.
Princess robot.
So how do you think she's going to, or if she's going to, break all of this to Kyle?
Eh.
I think foreshadowing, I think she foresees that there's a big chance they will not stay together because of that last scene they had together where she got up and she was like, I'm worried like I won't always have you. I think that was her way of being like, I'm going to do this, and I might lose Kyle in it, but this is what I want to do. Yes. At least that's how I took it.
Same here.
I think that she's going to, once Kyle is like, I can't be with this girl anymore, you know, and it does draw them apart, I think that's when Megan's going to say, listen, I've been faking it this whole time. If you want to join me and take down the institution and Terrence and still be with me because I'm the normal person that I am, I've just been faking it all these months or whatever, then you can. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. So I think that she's going to use her fake personality to either draw Kyle in and say, Kyle, you either get me or the Institute. And I'm taking down the Institute anyways, so you might as well just join me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense because... But then my only thing... That makes sense. The only reason I'm hesitant to, like, completely 100% jump on that bandwagon is because... No, actually, what I'm trying to say is maybe I am jumping on the bandwagon because the only thing is she needs Kyle because in a terrible sense, she has nothing without him because she gave away her apartment. You know what I mean? Like... The movie that she's about to be in is with Kyle. So, like, it's just kind of confusing because you're like, all right, well, if she lets Kyle go, like, where is she going to go next?
But I don't know if Kyle would actually go. I think in her mind she knows Kyle does love her.
So
I think that she's going to use this and know that Kyle's going to turn to her and say, like, why are you acting like this? Like, you're not the woman I love. And then she's going to say, like, well... Actually, I am. I'm just faking, and now you can join my team, and we're going to take down the institution. That's just, I mean, that's, I guess, maybe I'm thinking positive. I don't know, but.
No, I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
So who do you think has more to lose?
I mean, in this case, they both kind of have something to lose because I think they had, like, it seemed at one point I think they do love each other. They do. Right. Each of them in every way, but they have too much, too many negative things that have happened to both of them that it's kind of confusing, and I think maybe those confusions are gonna come out in this maybe it'll be an aggressive way. I don't know, but I feel like they both have to scream it out or something. There needs to be some sort of this is what I'm going through. I feel like they're both bottled up so many things that they just don't know how. So I feel like at the end of the day they both have something to lose because they both love each other. Yeah. And their lives without each other right now, as an audience member, I can't see it without one another. Mm-hmm. So, maybe that's how they feel, too. I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question.
I'm going to kind of change my perspective on that and say I think it's more so going to be Terrence and Deanne that have a lot to lose. Okay. I'll explain a little bit more when we get into predictions. But I think it's going to be Terrence and Deanne.
That makes sense.
I'll explain more in prediction
because
time.
Deanne's literally her career is around Kyle.
Right.
Both she is a producer because of Kyle and the fundings that he gets for his movies, for him being an actor. It all revolves around Kyle.
Right. And same with the Institute. The Institute wouldn't be anything without Kyle.
Exactly.
Because it has his name attached to it.
Which is, Terrence's.
And sorry.
Which is what Terrence is all about. So Terrence is all about the Institute. Deanne's all about, this career that she's built around Kyle. So if they both lose Kyle, then they're out of luck.
And I think that's something that Kyle's gonna learn. I think right now he thinks he needs them, and Megan's gonna prove you don't need them. You are Kyle West without the Institute, without Deanne. You can do this on your own.
Yeah.
So she's gonna be the one to be like, give him that nudge and like, let's do it together.
And even like when he was setting up, was it the photographer? The photographer told him that, you know, most of the people are at the Institute because of him. So I was thinking that, that's why I kind of think that Terrence and Deanne are going to have more to lose rather than Megan and Kyle.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's kick off predictions then. I feel like we're like ending next.
I'm excited to hear your predictions now.
Yeah.
Last predictions of the season.
I can't even believe it's the end. Like, I can't even believe we're talking about the season finale right now.
I know.
All right, Taquiala, do you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to be a little long. I've been trying to hold it all because I didn't want to jump in too quick. So for me, I think that Megan and Kyle are going to come together. I think this is going to be where they team up and they're going to forget this contract. They're going to be focused more on the Institute. You see when he was taking the pictures, he held up that little magazine sign that said how West won. I think that's foreshadowing what him and Megan are going to do to come burn down the Institute. Because he only befriended Terrence because he's trying to help Megan because he loves her. They were not friends. They weren't talking. And I think he's still really upset that Terrence didn't even try to fight for him and make him have sex with that detective, which then goes back to my theory from last week, too. He's going to get back in contact with that detective because if Kyle is the Institute, he knows how vast it is. He knows everything that they have done for other people or other athletes, whoever the case may be, which is why I say I think Terrence and Deanne have more to lose than Kyle and Megan will. And I think at some point it's going to be, I'm still waiting for this girl takedown that when Lexa Doyne was here, she said that it's going to be her, Sean, and Annika. So I'm still waiting for all of that to come. But I do believe that Megan and Kyle will stay together. And I definitely think Terrence and Deanne are going to have more to lose.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sorry. I was trying to say that for so long and not jump into it because you all hit on everything a little bit. But yeah.
Drop the mic.
Great prediction.
Yeah.
All right, Ally.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay. I mean, I feel like I go back and forth every episode only because we all, like, the way we think about it is all different. So I'm like, ooh, that sounds good. But I'm kind of going to bounce off of yours, and I think that maybe it will be Kyle and Megan together, but not from off the bat. She's gonna have to gain, like kind of figure it out on her own and then bring Kyle into it. Like, she still has her planning to go. But I definitely think that the director is gonna come back, and I think Hope are gonna come back, and I think they're gonna play a bigger role than we're expecting. And then maybe it'll be kind of showing their side of taking it down rather than seeing so much as like Terrence and Deanne's side of manipulation. Maybe we'll see more of the takedown side of manipulation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I've kind of already shared my predictions, but I think that Megan's going to keep faking it for a while to kind of make Kyle realize that the Institute didn't necessarily turn her into a better person, which is then going to have Kyle be mad at Terrence again. And then I think that Megan's going to say, like, you can join me and help me take down the Institute. And because Kyle knows all the secrets of the Institute, he's going to realize he doesn't really need Terrence as much as he thinks.
Exactly.
Right.
And he's going to take down and just get rid of Terrence and Deanne. And I think that Megan and Kyle West are going to take over everything with Sean's help from being inside the Institute.
Yes. Okay. So I see Sean playing a much more crucial role now than I did at the end of the last episode because I thought she was like a villain and now she's a hero in my mind. So I definitely see Sean and Megan like really full force doing this. And I feel there's going to be like a huge falling out now with Megan and Deanne. Because the last time Megan saw Deanne prior to her getting into the facility was her being like, everything's going to be okay. Back over her head.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot there that we have not touched on yet.
Right.
Because the way she talked to her in that limo was very like, because I think even though she knows Kyle did it, I think she also knows Deanne had a part in it now.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, all before, she probably thought Deanne was the bad one.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, that's one of my big ones. And I more want Kyle and Megan to get back together because they really love each other. But part of me is a little hesitant because I think it'll just take a while.
Definitely.
I think that's maybe what it is.
Yeah.
But I want them to get back together so quick.
Yeah.
Not even that they're broken up, but I just. Oh.
I know. I love their chemistry. I missed it this past episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't there.
And then you got so much, just like you saw a different side of Kyle. So it was like, wait, this isn't the Kyle we know. It's
I
not
know.
Kyle.
I love their like romantic side.
Yeah.
I think it was him trying to balance back between the Kyle he wants to be and
Yeah.
the Kyle that's programmed from the
Yeah.
institute.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I still think there's a lot to Kyle's past that
Definitely.
we still
Oh,
have
yeah.
not seen.
That's the other thing I predict is that I think through this all, now that Megan has revealed a lot about, her past, hopefully she can convince Kyle to reveal some of his.
Totally.
And I still think there's more into how they met. Like, I still find a lot of pieces odd as to how they were essentially
Very
paired.
strategic.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still don't know who paired them.
Yeah.
Because part of me used to always think it was Deanne, and now I don't think it was her because I think she's more selfish than that.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, at first it was kind of for her, but I'm realizing it really isn't.
You know what? You're just making me think.
Yes.
Obviously, Terrence knows how to manipulate people. Everything Terrence said, Deanne said the opposite. So it's almost like when he was like, oh no, she's terrible, he knew Deanne would want the opposite of what he wanted. So it's almost like he
Interesting.
manipulated
Deanne.
Deanne into thinking, I don't want her, but essentially Terrence had picked her out from the beginning.
Oh.
That's a prediction
God. Yeah.
for me.
Good.
Like, you just opened that up and I was like, wait, that makes sense.
That was true too.
Because if it's not Deanne, it has to be Terrence.
Yeah.
And he can manipulate people.
He does.
My mind is blown out because I didn't think that either. But
Yeah.
I still am like trying to figure out like who put her here.
Yeah.
Like I still don't believe she just fell into place here.
Yeah.
Like it's still weird to me.
I
don't
can't
know.
believe we have to wait until 2018.
I know.
It's like, we don't
It's
know.
not
When-
any next
when I
week.
heard 2018, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
that could be 7 months, that could be a year, that could be a year and a
Exactly.
half. Like, when is it gonna happen?
Oh.
I know.
Clearly.
All right, guys. Well, are there any last tidbits you want to share?
Just love this show.
Yeah.
Great. It's definitely kept me on my toes.
Yes.
It's kept me scared, kept me anxious, excited, happy, all the feels. So
Alexa, you were right. We were mind blown.
Yes.
We were.
You were right. She said,
Definitely.
if you're not mind blown, I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
we were.
Yeah.
So thank you.
We were.
I know, like, hopefully we can have her back next season.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be great.
And maybe more cast
And
members.
even more,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for all being my lovely hosts for this show. Thanks, guys, for watching.
I love the clap.
Love it. It is good.
And thanks for tuning in. I was your host, Tessa Cevaal. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tessa_Cevaal. And ladies,
You can find me at Jess Carroll TV.
You can find me at Taquiala_I am and on Sundays at Shades of Blue.
You can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at Ally Girl. And if you're interested in any other after shows here at AfterBuzz TV, you can actually find me and Tessa on Thursdays at 8 p.m. No, what time we doing? 10 p.m. for Married at First Sight, which is a really great a relationship experiment where they get married on the first time they met each other. So make sure you turn into that too.
Ooh.
Yes.
and don't forget to follow AfterBuzz on all social media at AfterBuzz TV. And thanks, guys, so much for sticking with us through the whole season.
Yes.
Can't wait to see you next time.
Yes, we will be back. So
Yes.
make sure you come watch.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.